We're staying in AutoCAD Web for the moment. I want to show you a really neat tool that allows you to collaborate with other people that might be using the same drawing. Now, at the moment, the drawing itself is open in AutoCAD Web. It's the same drawing that we saved previously on AutoCAD Desktop. It is our GF 1031 Southeast Madison underscore cloud.dwg file. Now, the reason I know that, the file name is up here. Can you see? Top left. Now, I'm going to zoom in on the restrooms, and the zoom functionality is exactly the same. Can you see that? Using the mouse, roll up and down on the mouse to zoom in and out, and hold down the wheel on the mouse to pan. Now, I'm going to zoom in on the restrooms, and I'm going to add a thing called a trace. Now, traces are incredibly useful because they kind of add a sheet of tracing paper on top of the drawing and allow you to add information on that tracing paper that allows people to see things that aren't physically part of the actual DWG itself. It's really, really clever technology, and it's been brought into AutoCAD Web and AutoCAD Mobile, and then it's been rolled out to the AutoCAD Desktop as well, and we'll see that in a minute. If we go to traces over here on the left-hand side of AutoCAD Web, there are no traces in the drawing at the moment. If I click on New Trace, what it'll do now is it goes into trace mode. But before we do that, over here now, I've got trace 1. It tells you who has actually worked on that trace. It's me, and the time I'm working on the trace. You've got the date as well, the space that it's in, and everything else, and who it was last saved by, and so on and so forth. I can also jump between the trace and the drawing. So if I go into drawing now, can you see I'm still in trace, but I'm looking at the drawing. If I go to trace there, in the trace view where the trace is, I'll explain how that works in a minute. Let's right click over here and we'll rename the trace and we'll call this restrooms. In fact, we'll call it restrooms 001 like that. And I'll just press enter to rename that. Calling it trace 1, not really that descriptive. Another thing you might want to do here as well is if you've got different revisions of traces, you could actually add in that file name of the trace something like rev1 or rev2. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my layer drop down here. You can see I've got various layers available. As you can see, all the different layers in the drawing are available, like so. I'm just going to make sure I'm on the 0 layer, the default 0 layer for this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to place a revision cloud around the restrooms. So there's Rev Cloud on the annotate panel there, Rev Cloud. And what I can do, notice on the command line, I've got the option of arc length, object, rectangular, etc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an arc length first. It's showing me there 1155.1758. Let's change that value, shall we? So let's change that to say something simple like 1200. Enter. And then I'm going to go for a rectangular Rev Cloud, clicking on there at the bottom. So if I now click over here, there's my Rev Cloud, click there like that. Job done. Now, that's in the trace mode. If I go to drawing, can you see there? The trace is now grayed out. If I go back to trace, I can then edit the trace. It just allows you to see what's going on in your drawing and what is in the drawing and what is in the trace. I'm also going to place some text. So I'll click there on the M text on the annotate part up at the top there. And what I'm going to do now is place some text. So I'll pop it, say, there. Click. And it's M text in this case, by the way. And you'll notice there that we're using Notes 3.5mm as a style. I'm going to go to Arial, and I'm going to change that value there. Definitely, that's way too small. Doesn't matter. We'll edit that in a moment. But I'm just going to put something along the lines of check restroom configuration or config. Let's just say config with a dot like that. Check restroom config. Now, if I tick that, you'll see the text is very, very small. It's just there. So if I select that now, and go here to properties, can you see there's the MText properties and the text height is 4.5. We want to make that a bit bigger. Let's go for say 250 and enter. And you can see that's much bigger now. So if I go back to traces and I'm happy with that, I'll hit escape a couple of times, check restroom config. When I go into drawing, can you see that's grayed out? It's letting me know that that is part of the trace and not part of the drawing. So there's our trace. It's all done. It's all in the drawing. So all I need to do now is save that drawing. But I need to come out of the trace settings. So I click on the cross like that. The trace disappears. It is still there. Click there There's the trace. Close the trace like that. Now, what I need to do is I need to save the drawing. So I'm just going to double click on the wheel to zoom extents. Good CAD practice, remember. So I'll click on Save. So that is now saved. That drawing is now saved. It will always save back to the latest DWG file format. So it'll save back to the 2018 DWG file format. Now, that's saved. What you should do as well, just to be on the safe side, is go up to here. Can you see there my little mugshot? I'm going to sign out just to avoid any complication there. So you'll notice now, as I sign out, I get that, and it's prompting me to sign in again, and it takes me back to the default AutoCAD web page, which is web.autocad.com. So you go to web.autocad.com to sign into your AutoCAD web. So that's done, and we've saved the drawing. That drawing is now saved in the cloud. What happens now when somebody using AutoCAD Desktop opens up that particular drawing? Let's have a look at that in the next video.